in Korea, a lot of institutions curing this dyslexia, they're doing some kind of eye exercising and auditory, some system stuff. But I heard that was kind of really old method, but we are still doing that. So
yeah,
That's something very important that Phyllis just told me. Korean is an orthographically transparent language.
Right. Okay. Well, people have thought, well, you read with your eyes, so it must be a visual problem. And it's not. It's been examined scientifically, and obviously you have to have good vision, but the children who are dyslexic have good vision, and yet they can't read well. So I can understand how people would think that way, but science says no. It's not the eyes. And the worrisome thing about it is if you think it's the eyes, then children get sent for eye training. And we saw a very famous man, and we saw his child, and he said, after we diagnosed his son, he said, I have this. I've been getting new glasses each time, thinking it's my eyes. So it's not visual. It's not visual at all. And parents and children are wasting time and money when they could be getting help. It's a pleasant thing. Children don't mind the eye things, but it doesn't help. And we know what does help. So is that a helpful thing?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because there are a lot of Korean parents and some
here too.
They think they don't think it's because they don't focus it.
Yeah, no, they have all it's focusing, it's this, it's eye weakness, it's
right.
No.
So you definitely have that. It doesn't work.
Oh, huge amount of scientific evidence. And when you give children the intervention that helps them understand how the language system works, how to pull apart words into each phoneme, each part, how to attach the letters to that, those children learn to read.
And it doesn't work like doing this eye kind of exercise. It doesn't work. And in the United States, how do you treat this children? How do you train these children with dyslexia?
How do we train who?
Training, to cure or overcome.
Problem. And so many different people are interested. Dr. Benachez and I are interested because we're called physician scientists. So what made us interested in the first place was the people. We take care of people, and you see these terrible stories. And then you say, well, I want to learn about it more scientifically. So we pursue it scientifically. As a neurologist, Bennett has pursued it mainly looking at the brain and the neurobiology. I've looked through my longitudinal study, but also at the cognitive and other aspects. So many people can be interested: psychologists, educators, physicians, all sorts of people. But I can understand how people would think it's the eyes, but we've gone past that. We used to think a lot of things, but then when the science says no, and you have evidence that what does work, you have to put that aside and go forward. It's not fair to the children.
And then nowadays, how do you help them? Program like a training program.
Yeah. You help them by using programs that teach children and have them practice getting to the sounds. You have them practice pulling apart words or saying, tell me all the things you see in the room that begin with the sound B. And you do this in a way that's just not scattered, but that's logical and builds on itself. And some people like to use what they call multisensory. So they can see it, hear it, and with using all the sensations. And there are programs here that do that. And there's some programs that don't have the multisensory and still work well. What's really important to know is that the program has to be like a logical follow in time. You have to do it frequently. Many people think it's like going to the doctor, getting a shot. Oh, I'm better. But it's not so quick. You know, if you have people who are very smart and yet they can't read very well, you know, it's a pretty big problem for them. So you need to use a program that has evidence, that shows when this program is used in the correct way, children do better than if they are used other programs. So there are programs here, people refer to the Orton-Gillingham program, the Lindemuth-Bell program, and there are many variations. But what we ask for and what people everyone, what is the evidence? It's not just stories, this helped my child, because in science we can do what we call clinical studies, and many people will do a little better with placebo because they think they're going to do better. But when you really do it carefully, you want to make sure that there's actually a difference, that people have done better. And they can do better. And particularly in Korean, where there's such a close association between the letter and the sound, what you need to be aware of, when that happens, Finland, for example, is a country that, or Italy, the children will learn initially how to read. Say, oh, no problem, because they can get the letter and the sound together. But as they grow up, as they go to higher grades, and it gets more words, more complicated words that don't repeat themselves so much, then it's noticed that the children who are now maybe teenagers or older, they can read fluently. They can read slowly, but they can read automatically. And that's a big thing. And this not reading automatically gets, with help, can get better, but it doesn't go away altogether. I've met the smartest people in the world who are adults, and they're still slow readers. So you can make it better, but you can't erase it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, and
Text comprehension problem.
What?
Text comprehension problem.
Yes. Yeah, but what's really also very important to know, I'm glad you brought that up, in our study we looked at the people who are diagnosed with dyslexia and had evidence-based interventions. Their comprehension at the end of high school was as good, if they had extra time, as their peers. So it's very important that people don't think it's a comprehension problem. If the people have had the interventions and the time, their reading is fine. It'll be slow, and that's why they need the time. But to get to the meaning, because what they can do very often is use whatever they've been taught about how the sounds relate to letters, but then they can relate to their vocabulary, and they can relate to their background knowledge. So it's very important for children, even if they're not reading, to hear stories, to listen to it, because vocabulary helps you a great deal. It's very important for children not only to learn how to read, but to help build their vocabulary. Because if a word is in your spoken vocabulary, much more likely when you see it, even if you can't decipher the whole word, you'll get it, and you'll be able to read it in the story.
well, actually, you've mentioned about you have a lot of programs in this center as well, and I just wonder, is it curable things?
No.
So the other thing you want to cover is accommodations and high-stakes tests, because that's very relevant, because particularly if they're not seeing, people might not understand what you mean by fluency.
Okay, fluency is the ability to read accurately, rapidly, and this is the important, with good comprehension. So it's called prosody. So when they're reading, it's not like, I read the book, but it shows that they're incorporating the meaning, so they're reading with expression. So that's very, very important. And what happens is, as we go on in school, and I'm sure in Korea you have the same, we have what's called high-stakes tests. You need to take them at the end of high school. It determines what, if you go to college, what level college, or if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer. It becomes essential then for these individuals to have extra time. Legally in this country, it's their right, but it should be in every country. I don't know how Korea works, but to be able to take these, because we have so many examples of people who don't have the accommodation. They can't go to law school. They can't go to medical school. And there are people who have gone to colleges that don't ask for these big tests. And they do as well, as people who have taken the high-stakes test. So you have to wonder, are high-stakes tests helpful, or are they holding back some very smart people who could really contribute to society?